It's a good thing to disclose generally that you're disabled, because then the other person might think, okay, so I should take this into account, like if they have any needs and that kind of thing. So it just makes the whole issue kind of out there, not so kind of hidden.
Disclosure. It's an interesting, fraught space, because it's important to disclose, because you want any sort of errant or awry behaviours to be explained, especially when you're dealing with a property manager. However, disclosing to property managers, from what I hear, is not the best thing to do.
I don't think there should be any pressure to disclose. It would be nice to live in a world where disclosure was not a problem. If it did not result in discrimination, I think, that's the perfect reality. And I think sometimes people might disclose because they're trying to challenge that discrimination. Like they have a right to disclose, if that makes sense. But I think we don't live in that world yet, and people are actually placing themselves in a position where people might discriminate if they do disclose.
If you disclose to them that I reckon you've got a disability from the start, they might be helpful to you, because they're looking for, people to fill their places, and they might be able to find something. They might be able to help you find something that's in your price range, and maybe help you even fill out the form if you've got no one to help you fill out the forms.
Once you know that I've got a disability, then you're starting to wonder about things. Am I paying the rent? Am I going to do bills? Am I going to do damage? I just hate it when there's so much discrimination with people with a disability. I just wish that we could, like I said before, what happened to that interpersonal stuff? I'm sorry I keep repeating myself, but to me that's most important, that you have that dialogue.
I think that should be completely up to the person. I don't see why landlords need to know that. If it's not, if it's me and Janet, then sure, I can see why landlords might want to know that, because they might want to know how we're going to change their house so we can live in it. But if we're talking about like someone with just an ABI or someone who's not in a wheelchair, then unless they really want to, I don't see why they should have to say, oh, by the way, I've got an ABI or intellectual disability or whatever.
Disclosing a non-physical disability has benefits, but also it can be used against you in the application process. From what I understand, I know the estate agent doesn't make the final decision. That goes to the landlord or landlords or whatever setup they use. But they have a big say in it. So if they turn around and say, this guy's really nice, but he has he has a disability, you can't see it, but he may not be reliable, sort of thing. I think those preconceived ideas of disabilities, especially invisible ones, it's very easy to be discriminated against because of them, but in such a way that it's not obvious that they're discriminating against you, if that makes sense.
It would be ideal if every property manager did disability awareness training so that they were aware of the fluctuations in behaviour that people, especially with cognitive disabilities, display.
The stigma of mental health has been a huge one in the rental markets, obviously. That preconceived idea of someone with a mental health issue being unreliable and potentially dangerous It seems like it happens in the news every other day that when there's something violent happening, they have a mental illness. And that seems to be the fallback. So that stigma of violence and mental illness being closely linked could quite easily dissuade a lot of people from saying, yeah, okay, let's rent them a place, because the danger of the place getting wrecked and would far outweigh the cost benefits of having someone there.
People should tell them that they have a disability, because they might be able to help them a little bit better or understand what they're going through each day.
My thoughts around disclosure of people with intellectual disability in terms of their application to a real estate agent is unsure. I think in an ideal world it would be so good to always disclose our disabilities, but there is a real level of stigma and discrimination that happens. So I think it's really difficult to give an answer to that one. And I don't have an intellectual disability, so I can't say for myself. I know that with my brain injury, there's a lot of times where I didn't disclose, and I don't disclose too, even today, because I know that I will be treated differently.
It's so individual. You can't it's real hard to state you shouldn't. It's individual. Because most people are tempted to I'm better than you because I don't have the disability, so they can they can feel, so they can control it better. But I think it really does depend on on the person. Yeah.
It feels like we have to work extra hard at proving ourselves that I can cope with this, I can manage your property. I know that people probably look at me and think, how's she going to mow the lawn or make sure the gardens are maintained? So there are preconceived notions and ideas around that. So that's why I hesitate in disclosing anything on my initial application.
If you can't see it, I don't think you should disclose, because it has nothing to do with the space you're living in. And if you need support in the space that you're living in, the real estate agent doesn't need to know that. Yeah. I don't have a choice to disclose, because my disability is quite visible, so people judge me straight off the bat. They say, I probably don't want marks on the walls, so maybe I'm not going to rent to you.
Bearing in mind then, though, that if you do that, then you're stuck in this relationship with these people based on something that you want to hide. It's like when I had the dogs secretly at a couple of rental places in Melbourne. It was awful, that sort of pressure of, I'm pretending to be okay, not disabled, whatever. And so you've got this anxiety around, the yearly inspection and so forth. So really think about that, who you can bear to live with and who not. And actually, my advice is avoid them altogether. Make good friends, move in with friends who've already got the leases in their names. Never put your name on a lease unless you absolutely have to, and avoid them altogether.